Shana Tova. My name is Katherine Gergen Barnett, and I, along with my husband Mark, son Gabriel, and daughters Amira Sky and Hannah Bina, are honored to have been members of the TBZ community for over 12 years. I'm humbled to be giving a personal prayer this year, and though I cannot see any of your faces, I'm picturing you here, filling the shul with your joyous presence, your voices raised in song, your hearts opening to this time of renewal. But as you and I well know, these are unprecedented times. These past 6 months, we as a society and as a community have borne loss after loss. Acute losses, such as the loss of a loved one, a stable job or housing, our health, or seeing those that we love who live in faraway places. There's also been a multitude of seemingly smaller losses, but still acutely painful, such as the loss of a missed graduation, a gathering for simcha, or the numerous sports, school, work, and life events that seem to so easily punctuate our lives pre-COVID. Working as a physician at Boston Medical Center, I've grieved with colleagues and patients as these losses have quickly piled up. And if COVID-19 were all in the rearview mirror, we could sit with this grief and perhaps start to rebuild our wounds and heal. But we are still in the unfolding of these losses, and our pain and grief are perhaps now coupled with fear, anger, and anxiety. We're asking questions such as, how can we go on? When will this ever end, and what will our world look like after this is over? When can I safely see loved ones who live far away? When will school ever feel normal? I've recently discovered a term, ambiguous loss, coined by Pauline Boss, a doctorate in psychology, which for me helps define this era. Ambiguous loss frames the reality where not every loss holds the promise of a resolution. When we grieve or something difficult happens, we as humans crave a kind of resolution or an ending or a closure so that we can move on. But ambiguous loss, there is no closure, so there's nothing to get over. There's nothing to fix, and there's nothing to resolve. And so it is in these times of great unraveling, where our world continues to change, the path ahead is so unclear, and we continue to feel a sense of loss for those things big and small we can no longer count on in our daily lives. How do we keep our heart open and draw even closer in these challenging times? While I do not have the answer to these questions, I've been deeply inspired by those who live these questions every day. There are those I am honored to know in the environmental service industry at my hospital, with whom I had lunch some months ago, and who shared in pride the knowledge that in the darkest days of COVID, their deep and committed work was one of the key paths to keeping us all healthy. There is a young woman whom I care for, who has lived a long life of trauma, pain, homelessness, chronic illness, who has recently been diagnosed with HIV. She could have just shut her heart and given up, but she texts me every day now, and she tells me about taking her new medications. And there's so many others who have walked into the darkness and found the sparks of light. As Viktor Frankl, a well-known Australian psychiatrist, neurologist, and Holocaust survivor, wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." May it be your will that when we walk into this time with our hearts open, even while they are breaking, may it be your will that we can see clearly, even with tears in our eyes and stones in our path, the injustices in this world and continue to work towards fixing them. May it be your will that even when we cannot change a situation, we can choose to find the light. May it be your will that we work daily to draw closer to the source of all life, one another, and ourselves in this time of ambiguous loss. Shana Tova.